Alright, here's this week's weekly Witch Queen campaign mission. It's the Arrival. I'm doing a solo flawless master run. And the weekly modifier is Togetherness, which is the same as the Nightfall, Scarlet Keep, which is the main consideration in doing this week's mission, because you need to come up with some kind of build that can heal itself. So typically Warlock is your best choice because you've got a healing rift, but or a solar subclass where you've got access to healing grenades. But I originally wanted to go with Arc Titan to do Scarlet Keep because of the acute arc burn, and I've just been kind of itching to play on Arc Titan, as I don't think I've done any videos yet this season with Striker. So I kind of gave up on doing it in Scarlet Keep, and I wouldn't say I regret it because I still got it done with Arc Warlock, and it was fun. But I realized I could have, just because the modifiers Togetherness and you're limited on healing doesn't mean that Striker is like out of the picture, because and I reminded myself of this because I actually did my solo flawless Duality dungeon completely on Arc Titan. And mind you, there's no togetherness, there's no attrition, so it's not like your recovery and your health regen is greatly impaired. But if you can do a full hour-long dungeon without dying, especially Duality, then you could do a Nightfall or one of these weekly masters and make it work, even if Togetherness or Attrition is the modifier. Attrition is easier because you got wells of light that you can pick up off the enemies. You can actually play more aggressive because of it. You're enticed to play aggressive because the enemies drop wells of light at their feet. That'll be next week's modifier for I guess it'll be the ghosts. But anyway, so Togetherness is a little bit tougher solo because it's designed for a team of 3. So when you're next to your allies, then that's the only way to get your base health regen, is to stand next to your teammates. And if you can't do that, then it's essentially like you have no recovery at all. So I decided to go with a similar build to what I did in Duality, and specifically on the Vault, I kind of tailored my build to have some healing included in it because it's so ad dense that it's very hard to stay alive if you don't have some way to heal. Without solely relying on taking cover and hiding somewhere and letting your recovery do the work. It's not always practical to go and hide somewhere. Sometimes it's just not possible. So what I did with Duality was I was using Forbearance, and I was actually leveling it up during my Duality run, but I had Unrelenting on it because it's one of the first perks that you can unlock on this grenade launcher. And so Unrelenting is a top choice weapon perk to go with for these types of modifiers, because it means that getting kills with the weapon has a chance to give you some health back. It's not like a complete 100 HP that you get back, but you get a substantial amount, like at least half, I'd say. So I went with my Forbearance. And because I liked Unrelenting so much on it for Duality, I just decided to do Enhanced Unrelenting on my final version of this. It's not to stop me from making a second Forbearance with Ambitious Assassin instead, with Chain Reaction, because I know that is the kind of the DPS ad clear meta, so to speak. But Unrelenting is super good, and Chain reaction just procs unrelenting even more, because the more enemies you kill, the more chances you have at proccing unrelenting and getting some health back. Now that's not the only thing that I was using to heal myself. What you can also do, because it's a grenade launcher and because of the chain reaction effect as well, those count as explosive kills, which means you can run explosive Wellmaker, which is a combat mod that you can put on any solar based armor piece. Mind you, next season we're not going to have elemental affinity associated armor pieces anymore, they'll all just be neutral. And certain combat mods will kind of be tied to certain armor pieces, I guess. But as of right now, and has been in the recent past, you just need any solar armor piece, and you can put explosive Wellmaker for 3 energy on there. So that means that forbearance is going to be every now and then, quite often, it's going to be popping solar wells. And then I can run Well of Life, which is another combat mod that you can also put on a solar armor piece, which gives you 10 seconds of healing. So every time I pick up a solar well, I'm going to be healing. So Forbearance is basically my healing machine, because it has the perk Unrelenting, because it's producing solar wells, because the solar wells are healing me. Additionally, I'm running Harmonic Siphon with Recuperation. So as Forbearance is an arc weapon, I'm running an arc subclass, so Harmonic Siphon means that my arc weapons are going to produce orbs of power. When I pick up an orb of power, because of Recuperation, which you put on your leg piece for 1 energy, I get a chunk of healing. So kind of like Unrelenting, picking up an orb is just going to give you like a static 20-30 HP or something like that. Unrelenting gives you a static 40-50 HP, and then my Well of Life from the Solar Well gives me healing over time. So it's basically health or regen. So I figured if I just do that, I'll be alright. And then so it means I've basically spent a couple of my combat mods on healing, and then what I did with my other combat mods was I used the seasonal artifact mod that gives you makes you charge with light when you stun a champion, and I'm pairing that with high energy fire. So when I get charged with light, I get a 20% damage bonus. And really, you only need the high energy fire or any damage bonus when you're fighting champions, or light bearers in this case, because you've got the light bearer warrior at the end to deal with. You've got a couple yellow bar wizards. You've got some boomer knights. So it's really just for the tankier enemies where you really notice a big benefit from a damage buff. But frankly, you can go without on Master. It's more like on Grandmaster, I'd say there's probably a greater value to keeping an uptime on high energy fire and Fontamite and that kind of stuff. And keep in mind, I'm also using Solo Operative from the seasonal artifact on my class item, so that's just a flat 15% damage buff to everything, abilities, weapons, everything. I could have gone with Weaken Clear, but Weaken Clear is also, it's a 15% debuff, so it means I also do, it's the same as Solo Operative, but it's not across the board. It's only to the targets that I affect with my grenade. So if I hit something with my grenade, they're weakened, and then that target takes 15% more damage. But Solo Operative is just, generally speaking, a better choice because it's just 15% all the time to everything, no matter what weapon or ability you're using. Just everything takes 15% more damage. The only real benefit to choosing Weaken Clear over Solo Op is that it has this special bonus, basically, that it reloads your stowed weapons, which is okay.
but I didn't really need it. You know, I'm used to reloading in the game. If I really don't want to reload, I run auto-loading holster with certain weapons. So I didn't really care too much to use weekly clear just for that bonus. You know, it's a good habit to reload your weapons anyway, generally speaking. But so again, I'm using my new cataclysmic. I'm not using my 4th times bait and switch. These champions, light bearers, they take 1 or 2 shots with box breathing, and that's it. You're done. Everything else that I'm using does the rest of the job. I don't need to waste time going through my primary, my secondary, and then onto my cataclysmic, just in hopes of, you know, getting 10 seconds of bait and switch with 4 times the charm, so I can do 4 crits and get 2 shots back. Well, I'm never gonna use 4. It doesn't take 4 crits to kill a champion on master. If you're at power, it just doesn't. Like 1 or 2 shots is all you need. So you're just wasting, you know, you're only maybe utilizing 1 or 2 seconds of bait and switch. So you're using like 20% of its capacity, and you're never using 4th times the charm, because you're never putting 4 crits into. If you've done 2 crits, you've pretty much killed everything that there is in the game. So it's just not going to happen. So, and I wanted to use a solar linear because there's wizards. In the plate room where you got to get the tributes, you have to go and get 5 tributes, bring them back to the plate. There's a couple wizards. If you don't get the tributes in time, the wizards respawn. You have to kill them again. And so just like Scarlet Keep, I didn't want to deal with the wizards. They're a pain. So I just wanted something to break their shields right away and get rid of them. So the solar linear did the job just fine. You can break their shield with 1 shot, finish them off with a 2nd. You don't even really have to proc box breathe. And then keep in mind, with the weekly campaign missions, even though they have endgame modifiers, they don't have an acute burn, so you have the freedom to kind of spread out your energy choices on your weapons without any real drawback. You know, unless your build completely revolves around a certain element where you're using Font of Might, you know, that's a different story. I wasn't using Font of Might here. I'm using high energy fire, and I'm using healing, so it doesn't really matter. And then as far as my you'll notice I'm using Outbreak Perfected. I haven't used Outbreak Perfected at all this season. 2 seasons ago, when we had barrier pulses on the seasonal artifact, I was using Outbreak all the time. There was a lot of Nightfalls with barriers, and I think Outbreak was pretty much the meta weapon of that season. It hasn't been as much the case this season for a couple reasons, I think. So I was kind of surprised at first to not see, you know, why isn't anybody running Outbreak anymore? It was top choice 2 seasons ago. Well, last season, Wishender got intrinsic anti-barrier. So last season, Wishender was pretty much the barrier meta. And then this season, you know, Wishender is just going to be the barrier meta probably forever, unless they nerf it or something better comes up. But even though we've got pulses back in the seasonal artifact, you've also got Revision 0, which we got from the secret exotic mission, and that pulse also has intrinsic anti-barrier. So there's been a lot of hype around that pulse, because we've had to spend basically every week of the seasonal story unlocking the perks for it and the catalysts, and so there's been a little bit of hype around Revision 0. But outside of that, as far as using intrinsic barrier weapons, you know, Wishender's pretty much still the choice. But and I could have easily gone with Wishender, but I didn't really want to use Wish Ender on my Titan. I just feel like, maybe it's the kind of the role playing aspect of the game, and my taste in playing, like how I like to play. A bow just doesn't. Wish Ender just kind of looks like a hunter or a warlock bow to me. Doesn't really suit my Titan, visually, and even gameplay wise. If you're playing aggressive and stuff like that, Wish Ender's just kind of slow pace, sit back, figure out where the enemies are. So it's an amazing weapon. Still one of my favorite weapons for sure. Probably my most used barrier weapon since last season as well. But I wanted to run Outbreak because it's a lot of fun as well, and I like the nanites are a cool effect. So, and it's super good. Definitely way better than Revision 0, even without intrinsic anti-barrier. When pulses aren't in the seasonal artifact for barrier mods, then there's not much use for Outbreak Perfected as barrier weapon there. But still, all around, it's an amazing weapon. But I'd say it especially shines when we're able to put barrier rounds on it, because it's super stable, and unlike any other pulse. All the other pulses, there's quite a lot of recoil, and the damage is pretty minimal. Like, usually you're just better off using a scout, explosive payload, or a bow. There's not much incentive to use a pulse rifle. But yeah, I was just kind of soaking up the effects there. So if you kind of forget how, you got to remember what your strategy is for healing, and you got to stick to your guns on making sure that you can get those benefits, right? You gotta make sure that you're producing solar wells and orbs of power, and using your forbearance with unrelenting, or any other weapon that you want to use with unrelenting, if that's the choice you make. But basically, what I'm saying is, once you pick once you design your build, you come up with your plan, you kind of got to stick to it, and you got to trust in it. So it could be tempting a lot of the time to just sit back and shoot Outbreak Perfected at everything. But what are you going to do when there's hardly any enemies left, and the last couple targets, say one of them's a barrier, and they've got you weak? What are you going to do? You have to run away, take cover, wait forever for your healing to come back. You're better off just sticking to your strategy, which is to run around and kill everything as quick as possible with forbearance, and pick up all the stuff that it drops, and then simultaneously eliminate threatening targets, because you don't want to get caught out with no ads to kill and no orbs or wells to pick up or unrelenting procced. So here you can see because I had to take a break from the ads to focus the barrier there for a bit, and he got me weak, but fortunately there was a couple ads left behind me, so I was able to retreat and take them out with forbearance and get some healing back. So I'm not sure if I made a mistake here, because this took quite a while for the next wave of enemies to spawn in, and I got 2 barrier knights. I can't remember if it was always 2 barrier knights or if it was just 1, because I may have killed the first one and then forgot to pick up the tribute, because I believe if you don't pick up the it's like a moat, like a triangular moat. If you don't pick it up after you kill the barriers or the wizards, then I think it despawns, and then the enemy respawns shortly after. So I kind of felt like I killed the same knight twice there, which... But I guess not, because I had 2 out of 5 tributes, so if I had missed one, then it would have just said 1. I would have had 1 less. Okay, so that was a pretty good example of my cataclysmic there. Taking out the wizards. The one thing that I didn't like with my 4th times bait and switch was it's just with any linear, it doesn't matter actually. It's just when you're getting shot at by other enemies, the flinch throws you off target. Not only that, but I feel like the aim assist pull, if you're on controller on console, aim assist is kind of a major issue when you're trying to do precision shots, like especially with a linear or a sniper. So say you're like you want to shoot a barrier and there's a bunch of ads around the barrier. Right when you line up your shot on the barrier, an ad decides to get in front of you, and it'll literally drag your aim off the barrier without you controlling it at all. Like, it just takes control over your aim and moves it aside. It's super annoying, and oddly enough, I feel like no distractions mitigates that aim assist interference. It could be just totally it could just be in my head. It could just be the fact that I'm not getting any flinch resistance, and the flinch resistance is substantial on no distractions. I was a bit apprehensive about doing an enhanced perk on it. Of course I didn't need to. I could have just gone with a regular perk first and tested it out, but whatever. I had a ton of ascendant alloys, not a lot of resonant alloys, but I just decided to do it anyway because I did a bit of research, and I wanted something to, you know, either give me stability or aim assist or flinch resistance to go with box breathing. And no distractions is like night and day difference between 4th times bait and switch as far as flinch resistance. I can literally be aiming at a barrier, you know, headshot lined up, and then like 7 ads can start shooting at me. They can get in front of the barrier, and normally you just be flinched to hell and you wouldn't be able to land your shot. You'd have to take care of the ads and then reposition and shoot. With no distractions, you don't have to. You're just solid as a rock on your aim, and it's hard to tell. It's probably hard to tell in this gameplay, especially for people that watch other people that play on PC, because if you're on mouse and keyboard, you don't have the same aim assist. If there is any at all, I'm not sure. But I've played mouse and key a long time ago. Used to play a lot of Call of Duty and other first-person shooters, and yeah, mouse and keyboard is completely different to controller. Like, you just have that snappy precision and stability with a mouse that you'll never get with a controller, regardless of what thumbstick modifiers you're using, or if you're using a scuff, or it doesn't matter. You know, a controller's a controller. It's a little miniature joystick for your thumb. It's not your whole arm and hand over a mouse, you know, with a big pad for you to just swipe to. So it may be hard to tell, but keep in mind that I'm on controller. I've got aim assist. I'm using a thumbstick. So when you see me hit crits on champions and whatnot, while getting shot and while other ads are trying to interfere with my aim, and you see that I can still land the crit, yeah, if you're a controller play, you'll probably notice you'll probably notice what I'm talking about. But I might put a bunch of clips together of the difference, because I actually got quite a lot of comments on my last video, because I put on the thumbnail cataclysmic, this was my cataclysmic sleeper roll that I decided to make for Scarlet Keep, as an alternate to fourth times bait and switch. And so I put the perks on the thumbnail and stuff, and I have a feeling some people just, looked at the thumbnail and they're like, oh yeah, this person's crazy. What are you talking about? Fourth times bait and switch is the only cataclysmic roll that there is. So I got a little bit of hate in the comments, but that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and they can make of it what they will. And they have complete control over what they do with their crafted weapons. But I'm not the type of gamer that likes to just stick in a lane because something's classified as meta or not by the community. I don't care about that. I do care about weapons that are good. If they're meta, it's because they're good. It's not because everybody said they're good, right? I can be the judge of whether a weapon is good or not, what works for me. And I'm not gonna put up a video saying use this is the only, this is the best roll that there is for this weapon, and then I put up like a 5-minute video of me shooting stuff with the weapon. Like, no, here's a whole solo flawless mission where I'm using the weapon and I didn't die and I killed everything, and the weapon worked pretty well. So I'm giving you a practical application for the stuff that I'm claiming. And you could be the judge of it. You can watch and you can determine for yourself whether you think that it's something that you would consider, if you think it's crazy. And either way, it doesn't bother me, because at the end of the day, you can go to the Enclave and you can craft your own cataclysmic, and you can put whatever you want on it, and you can say it's the best for you, and I'd be happy for you. But I'm an open-minded person, so whenever somebody suggests something and they have reason for it, then I'm open to trying stuff out. But no distractions with box breathing is a great roll, and it's completely different to fourth times bait and switch. It has a different application. Ammo economy is amazing because you're pretty much always hitting your shots because of no distraction, and because of box breathing you're doing a lot of damage, which means you don't have to do as many shots. And it feels really good. Like, it feels, I have a Taipan roll with box breathing as well, and this cataclysmic is way better. I might need to, because I was using triple tap on Taipan. So I might have to check and see what else there is on Taipan to complement and synergize well with box breathing, because triple tap doesn't really do anything for it. Triple tap Focus Fury, great roll, synergizes triple tap. Firing line for sure, raid, dungeon, meta. I use it all the time, but I like using different perks on different weapons for different things. So yeah, give it a shot if you want. But I think I will put up a video to try and show you the difference, because it is night and day. But anyway, this mission is, I'm sure most of you that own Witch Queen have done this mission on a weekly basis to get your pinnacles. Probably just LFG and a fire team and get it done real quick, call it a day. A lot of times you get Ascendant alloys, you get high stat armor, and you get obviously Witch Queen weapons. I'm not doing this for any of that, I'm just doing it for the video, to experiment with a build.
stuff like that. So, but super easy. This last room, you just got the original light bearer, and then you've got a barrier to kill, get the tribute, bring it to the plate, kill the wizard, bring the tribute to the plate, kill the unstoppable, and you're done. So that's this week's mission, using Arc Titan with Togetherness, no healing. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next video. Take care.